everyone, I'm Emma, a certified dog trainer.
And I'm Kirsten, a certified dog behavior consultant.
And this is Dog Chats. Join us as we chat about dog behavior, having fun with your dogs, and building relationships. We will offer practical advice and a bit of humor. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 8. We're already laughing because we're having so much fun. But we're coming to the end of 2022, depending on when you listen to this episode. But we're just at the end of December and looking forward to 2023. So we thought we'd kind of look back at 2022 and things that we've learned through our practice, our business, and things we've learned from other trainers, and then look at what we're planning for 2023.
Yeah.
We both focus on different areas. I do puppies, and Kirsten looks at mostly adolescent dogs with aggressive behaviors and reactivity. And so we normally don't talk about that with the clients as to why we got into those specialized areas, so we thought we'd discuss that as well today. All right, so we're going to start asking each other questions. I think that's probably the best.
Okay, I'm going to ask you first.
All right.
Emma, why do you love working with puppies?
Why do I love working with puppies? And it's not only puppies that I love working with. I love working with the families. What really excites me and what I'm really passionate about is getting that relationship going between them. So it's not necessarily the training, like the sits and the downs and all that. Yeah. That's not the part that I'm looking at. I'm looking at how can I make this family come together and become one.
Oh, beautiful.
So I look at obviously the puppy things, which are the house training, the nipping is a huge thing, just getting them used to having a little bit of independence and time alone. Like there's lots of puppy stuff. But I really like helping them navigate through that time period, which is like the 1 month up to the 6 months, which almost, goes on then to the part you like, which is the adolescence. But I just think just getting them at that moment where they enter a new house and the family's trying to incorporate the new puppy into their daily life and getting sleep for the first couple of nights that the puppy is there. I just want to be there to support them with the experience that I have working with puppies. And so that really is it for me. It's working with the people and just helping them on that journey with their puppy.
Yeah, and I love how you really help the people see the world from that new puppy's perspective. I tend to sometimes when I'm working with puppies, I get stuck in the old school sit down stay. Yes. Here's the skills that they have to learn. This is what we would do in puppy class. And you tend to step outside that box. And speaking of box, I'll never forget the first time you set out a bunch of boxes and just showed me how to make that, a novel experience, an enrichment game for a puppy moving around. And I had never seen anything like that. Just brilliant.
Yeah, and we'll get into this a little bit more, but socialization is a huge thing for puppies, and that really is just building that resilience to new things in the world and just getting used to it. And novelty is a great way of doing that, just putting novel things in the environment. But I want to ask you back now, what draws you to work with mainly adolescent dogs, but with aggressive behaviors?
Well, it's interesting because I was thinking when you just said that, it's the people too, right? And I think I'm drawn to the clients who are struggling and suffering, and in some ways going through grief because the dog that's in front of them isn't their dog that they dreamed of.
Yes.
And I think I can fill a niche in helping the humans who feel conflicted and the adolescent dogs who are conflicted. They're not always adolescent, but often are. And I realized that I'm drawn to teenagers as well. Like when I was teaching, I taught middle school, right? Like that. And it's that same thing. It's this fun phase of life where you're too big to be a kid and you're not ready to be an adult and you're floundering and you're making mistakes and you're all over the place and your hormones are flying. And I can relate to that.
And you're testing boundaries a little bit too.
Yeah. So supporting both the dog parents and the dogs during that time has just been really fulfilling for me.
I'd love to hear from you too on the changes you've seen from when you started working in this area and the way you work now, because that has changed for both of us. We can go into a lot of detail with that because things have changed so much. Every year we're thinking of different things. So what that looked like when you started versus the way you work now.
Oh, such a great question. So thinking back to 1997, that's when I first started working with my mentor trainer in Santa Rosa. And if a dog was reactive, and when we use that word, we mean barking, lunging, snapping at other dogs when on leash. We used choke chains, and she showed me how to pop the dog. And what we would do was walk that dog by 100 dogs. We'd go the Tiburon bike path and just flood the poor dogs. And I look back on that. I wake up sometimes in the night with guilt and realize that those dogs weren't getting better. They were terrified and probably were making it worse.
But at the time, we didn't know any better.
We didn't know. Yeah. And so then the big switch was more to behavior mod, desensitization.
And what's behavior modification?
Great question. So changing how the dog feels about the dog and doing an alternate behavior. So instead of barking, lunging, biting, I'm going to make you feel better by saying, hey, do you see the dog? There's a dog. I hand them a treat when they see the dog. But I'm still going to ask them to do something else often. I mean, we say that it's classical condition, but there's a lot of times where we're then tossing the treat so they have to find it. Or we're asking for a touch, or we're asking for a sit, or we're asking them to move along and not do anything.
So really just doing something other than what they were doing.
Exactly. Yeah, that alternate behavior. And now, just very recently in this area, I'm so excited about the concept of why do we have to change their behavior? I'm terrified of hummingbirds. And I'm not kidding. If I'm on there,
we did see some
that.
Plovers the other day. We were thinking about you.
Oh, those pointy beaks. But if somebody said to me, look, I want you to just look at that hummingbird and take a piece of chocolate and sing the ABCs, I don't want to do that. I'm like, no, I want to get back in the house.
Yes.
So it's made me more cognizant of what we're asking the dogs to do. Do they have choice in the behavior mod? And they should. And so that new movement about giving the dogs more choice has been really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, the changes in my area have been pretty extraordinary. And I know, the little that I know about puppy training, I know that you have seen incredible changes too in just the last few years.
And it may not necessarily be changes that everybody's gone that direction, but certainly for you and I, we've changed the way we look at things. So I used to do puppy classes. That's how I started with puppies. And that was mostly play with other puppies and then a little bit of training and a little bit of what's going on at home, house training and stuff like that. And socialization was a big thing. And it was, back then it was, and still is, we still hear about it, get out there, meet 100 people, 100 dogs.
Right. Can you imagine?
Well, back then, I'll be honest, I had my dog Dusty. And I thought, socialization is great. And there was some big parade going on in the city. And I think I've mentioned that in another one. And I brought him to it thinking that was socialization. And just the change over the years for that, and especially kind of COVID really made us more aware of that. We were like, how can we do socialization without being able to meet all these people and dogs? And so you start thinking about novelty, and it really is just novelty to stuff out in the world. Can they look at stuff and go, no big deal?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a truck going by. No big deal. I can handle that.
Yeah.
And that's what you're looking for with a puppy. So I think that's changed even the way we do socialization now.
Yep.
And how that looks. Different things for socialization.
And there's more choice.
And there's more choice.
Right?
And so socialization isn't go to a puppy class necessarily and meet all the puppies, because puppies really don't tell each other the greatest way to play with each other. I mean, it's nice to see that your puppy gets on with other puppies, but just having that I always kind of say, is there a neighbor's dog or a friend's dog that's really solid, that we could do some introductions. I bring my own dog sometimes.
Yeah.
And we just want to make sure that they're okay with dogs. They don't have to love every dog they see.
Right.
They just have to go, oh, it's just a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's fine. I can just either want to play with them or just say, hey, I don't want to play with them. And we're like, okay, that's fine, as long as we're not seeing any fear or anything. So that's definitely one of the things. I could go on forever with all of this. And then just the way we're all thinking about now, is it important to teach sits and downs and some of those things I do, like some of the training, basic training, I do find important to help the family and the puppy live together. Mm-hmm. But it's not my focus.
Right.
My biggest focus is let's get you house trained, right? Because that's going to make everybody's life easy.
Yeah.
Let's make sure you can sleep through the night. That's going to make it really good. And let's make sure you can get out there and see the world and be okay with it all.
Yeah.
So that's kind of changed,
Yeah.
that we're not looking for, you must be able to sit. You must be able to
Right.
hold that sit for at least several minutes. Because that's when I used to teach classes. That was it. Can you hold your sit for a minute?
Right. Or you can't graduate to the next class.
And what does that say to a dog? I don't know. It's just like, okay, I'll just sit here, just give me some treats, and I'll sit here. But what
It was
what
so
are we
much
teaching
more
them?
about us controlling the dog, right?
Exactly.
And feeling like we're in control. We were the powerhouse, and the dog had to do what we said.
Yeah.
Where now, I feel like in both of our areas, it's choice, and it's also just moving towards that well-being.
Yeah.
How to nurture the well-being of the puppy to prevent the negative behaviors later, right? Yeah.
And also giving them, like we were saying with choice, the freedom to make some decisions themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of that. Like when Kiva was a puppy, I used to be watching her every move she made out in the garden or in the yard, because I was afraid she'd pick up a mushroom. There was things that I was a little worried about, and so it was hard for me to kind of stand back and let her do some discovery on her own. But ways around that is you just manage where she can go into, but then she can have freedom within that area.
Yeah.
So,
or you have 4 dogs like me, and you just can't.
and you just don't
care.
care.
That's good.
But
Good.
so, what is it about aggressive behaviors and working with adolescents and that reactivity that really lights your fire, that you're passionate about? Because honestly, when somebody says they're having some problems with their dogs, that they're seeing some aggressive behaviors or reactivity, I'm sending them to you straight away. And I know you're really happy about it.
Yeah.
Like you just go, thank you very much. I will call them straight away. Like there's something that really lights up in you when you're able to help these people and their dogs. That there's not a lot of trainers out there that work within this area.
Yeah.
It's very limited, and I just want to know what makes that light up for you.
Great question. I think I've seen so much success. There can be a really high success rate with these behaviors, and most of it is the humans changing what they're doing, or changing the management, or understanding the dog. And the biggest thing that's affected me lately is thinking about the dog, and this comes from a couple different classes I'm taking, where either, dogs are pessimist or optimist. People are pessimist or optimist. And how can we bring that pessimistic dog, which often adolescents are because of the conflict, to a more optimistic place in their life? And, it's the same thing. That's what you're doing with puppies. But I love doing it when the problems are eking out, and all of a sudden we're seeing kind of the dirty, ugly stuff. But it's not about putting out that little fire, right? It's not about stopping the barking, stopping that. It's building up that dog's confidence, helping them be more optimistic, and nurturing that well-being. Dog's happier, symptoms go away, people are happier because they actually realize they can play a role in helping that relationship be more balanced.
Yeah. And just one of the things I heard from this lovely winter summit that we just did with Heart Dogs, that both we were listening to, is just letting the people know that this is not their fault that any of this is happening.
Yeah.
That even with all the work, like I do all the work I can with the people with their puppies.
Yeah.
But when they reach adolescence, we see other things come out that we might have seen a little glimpse of. Sometimes we can see a little bit of it and kind of go, okay, we need to work on that. But sometimes it just comes out when they hit adolescence.
Absolutely.
And you see that, right? You see a
all the
puppy
time.
that was just happy-go-lucky and then suddenly hit the hormones kicked in or whatever, and that adolescence kicked in.
And, if I can relate it back and, make it a human analogy, because just today, the woman was saying to me, he was playful and he would walk down the street bouncy and want to meet everybody, meet the dogs. And I'm like, well, because he was basically a 5-year-old. And now he's like a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
And he wants to walk into the bar and look really cool and not talk to people he doesn't want to talk to. And he's, it's just developmental.
And behavior changes.
Yeah.
And behavior changes with the environment it's in.
Yeah.
So that's really important too. And I have to say, even Kiva, she used to be the happiest go lucky dog. Yeah. And then right around when we were in lockdown with COVID, she was 2.5, 3. She was in that thing. So it was a little later than adolescence, but it changed. Her behavior changed, seeing dogs walking across the street and not being able to meet them, which was more related to what was going on in the world.
Yeah.
But it changed the way she thought about other dogs on a leash.
Right. She became a little more pessimistic.
She did. She did.
Which is natural and normal.
Yes.
I mean, just starting the phone call like that with people.
Yeah.
This is a very normal behavior that your dog is doing. Takes so much of that guilt and stress and frustration off their shoulders.
It really does.
And we get to start fresh.
And that's a wonderful thing you do. Because, I see when people get their puppy first, they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me out? And some people have had puppies before, and they're a little bit like, oh, this is crazy. What do I do? But I've done it before.
Yeah.
But some people have never had puppies, and they're like, oh, my goodness, I didn't realize. And I always say, like, that first month, you're going to go, what was I thinking? And then that's going to go away.
Yeah. You're so good at kind of holding people's hand and nurturing them and guiding them, right? And but it's funny because I think I don't have the same empathy. I love puppies, but I don't have the same empathy for that kind of uncertainty with the puppy the way that you do. You really can relate to these people struggling with puppies. And maybe that's, again, because I've had so many dogs that when I do have a puppy, I don't notice it. Just to do its own thing. But I've had so many reactive dogs. And do I make the dogs leash reactive? Sometimes I wonder, because this pattern keeps happening.
As trainers, the more you know, the more you know what everything looks like. You're looking at every movement everywhere.
Oh, totally. But I have experienced a lot of dogs, my own personal dogs, struggling with barking, lunging, snapping. And so I think I naturally have that empathy.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question. So looking back to last year, 2022, what about your mindset has changed because of things that happened in our community and new voices and new information?
A lot. I mean, I think the year before that was a rebirth of the way I looked at things. I really threw everything out and started again and really looked at puppies differently.
Yeah.
And then last year, and I've always loved choice. Worked at a shelter doing enrichment, and it was all about giving the dogs choices and, fulfilling the well-being of all the dogs and what their needs were.
And I want to chime in, you were so ahead of the curve there.
Well,
right? I mean,
I'm sure I got it from somewhere. I don't know my inspiration.
Like just now,
I
feel like all of a sudden people are like, enrichment. I'm like, yeah, well, Emma's been doing enrichment for 10 years.
Yes. And there was a lot of us, and it started off in the shelter world, almost enrichment, and then it became like a household thing, getting the puzzles and all that good stuff. But last year, I definitely looked at puppies differently and how I could help people. And I still was doing sort of the basic training, and I guess I'm questioning myself now what part of the basic training is still relevant. I love mat work. I think I'll continue to do that forever because there's just so many wonderful uses for it.
But is that training?
Puppies.
I think of the way that we taught place 5 years ago.
Yes.
That was training.
And explain to people what place is.
So place was more, go to this place, do a downstay, stay there until I release you.
Yes.
But the relax on the mat work that you and I are doing is more like meditation.
Yes.
So that's different than having a personal trainer say to you, Emma, I want you to just sit here and relax and clear your mind, right? You can't do that. But if you had, practicing that idea of relaxing, good things happen. If you get up, there's no punishment. Nobody's like, get back down. Nobody's telling you to stay.
And yes, I definitely see that. And then, but I think some of the ways maybe I use it feels a little bit more like training. Like when dogs are nippy and they're really mouthy, the puppies are really mouthy, I do use the mat as to go over and sit down and lay down on it and kind of hang out there.
To decompress though, right?
To decompress. Yeah. So it really is it's your Zen spot.
It is.
So that's something I think I'll keep forever. I battle about what's important and what's not, and every dog is an individual. Yeah. So I don't go in saying I'm going to teach these people all these particular things. I like to try and cover them a little bit. But some dogs will never will need to drop it, maybe. I don't know. I mean, like, I think a drop it's pretty important, especially with all the things they put in their mouths. But it might not be as important to them as having the dog being able to be in the crate while they're out at work. Like, that might be their priority if the dog is okay in a crate. So people have different ideas of for what they need. That for me, I don't know if I've answered your question completely about what last year, because now I'm thinking about all the things, but I think this year is a better way to look at it rather than what I was doing last year. There's people that we see as our sort of our mentors now, which we should probably just throw out all the names of all the people. I think, you know, when I started redoing my thought process, Absolute Dogs was there. They brought so much joy back into training that I just loved going out there and telling people they were doing games rather than training. So
and concept training.
Training, you know, like we're looking at building the optimism, seeing what's going on with the dog. So I have to say they were the restart.
Yeah.
And then there's a Heart Dog in England right now that's really, for both of us, is inspiring us an awful lot.
Janet Finley and Michelle Dart.
Yeah, and then you have a big one that
Kim
you like.
Brophy, very much inspired. And I'll talk about her next.
Yes, but we want to throw it out there that the ideas you hear from us, some of them have been created from hearing what these wonderful mentors for us have been saying and leading us in that direction that we're both absolutely loving. So 2023 for me, with puppies, I just want to get more fun and building independence and optimism and just helping the people.
Yeah. When I was listening to you just now, I was thinking about how I've always had this. I'm trying to not even use the word leash reactivity anymore. I'm changing my language and calling it building on leash optimism.
There you go.
Yeah. But I used to have this form where the people were going to look at what's the dog doing today. Now it says, what's the dog's body language? What is your body language? What's your dog feeling? How are you feeling? And it's really been wonderful because it's a two-part problem, right? You know, if one person or one dog is feeling off, they have to work together. They're a team.
Yes.
And thinking about that, going back to the shelter, because I read recently that, I don't know if this is true, but there was a statistic that the average age of a dog dropped off at shelter was 18 months. And so it just really reinvigorated me in thinking I need to support the humans so they get the help they need.
Exactly.
And support the dogs so that they get the help they need. And can work through it together and not end up at the shelter.
Yeah, so we can keep them in the homes. Yeah. So for 2023, how are you going forward and saying this is the way I'm going to start? I know you have some great plan already.
Yes, very exciting.
But share it with us what you think.
So I'm focusing mostly on family dog mediation. Moving away from training, even away from the traditional behavior consult where it was me kind of telling the human, here's what I want you to do with the dog, change the dog's behavior. This is the idea of let's look at the dog in front of us. They're Kim Brophy's legs model, the learning, the environment, the genes, and the self. Look at the human in front of me. And I have to do this, I'm trying to do it quickly when I'm talking to the human and the dog, but what has the human learned? What environment is the human in? What are the human's genes to a certain, and how does the human feel about themselves? And merging those two together to have, instead of so much of a behavior plan, it's more like family mediation. It's more like thinking there are some things coming up that are hard for the dog and hard for the human, or one or the other, and how can we address everybody's needs? So meeting needs. That was a long answer, sorry.
No, it wasn't as long as mine.
Meeting needs. And then the other part of that, because I feel so invigorated by the family dog mediation, by being in Kim Brophy's division group, behavior division, is thinking about how can I share what I've learned in the last couple of years with new trainers? Because I'm coming to this so late in life. I mean, I had to unlearn a lot of stuff to get here. Yeah. And that's not easy.
We're both the same age, by the way, if anybody is interested. We're not going to divulge what age we are, but
you'll have to guess. But focusing on how can I share what I've learned? How can I pass this on? How can I mentor And actually, with the Kim Brophy Group, we're developing a mentorship program
That's
to
awesome.
share some of these new ideas about meeting the needs of dogs and humans. Instead of just trying to fix the dog, how can we meet everyone's needs?
And it's interesting because all of us got into dog training because we had that dog.
Right.
That really needed help, and we needed help with that dog.
Yeah.
So we went looking for help, which
Yeah.
is what most trainers, how they start off.
Yeah.
So you might be out there and we might be one of our clients and then suddenly decide, hey, I like that. I become a dog trainer because
Absolutely.
you're learning. We consider you, at least, when we go out to your house, I consider you are your dog's trainer, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have a lot of clients where I would hire today.
Yes, I think it's great that you're offering that, for people to get experience from you.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be plenty of people that are going to take you up in that offer. I might have to go out with you a couple of times.
I'd love
as well.
it. I'd love it. And I'm hoping to do some hands-on. It's going to end up being a lot online, just because I don't have a facility. I don't have the means to do what Trish King let me follow her around for a year, and that was invaluable.
And Trish King used to head the behavior and training department at Marine Humane, just to put
Absolutely.
that out there.
They talk about our role models, our influencers.
Yes.
We both
were under her
exactly
her guidance. Yeah,
and still rely on her.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm grateful for my mentor experience, and I would love to share that in some form with new up and coming. And I'm trying to not even use the word trainer because now we have to be so careful,
I just
right?
said trainer, but we're kind of changing
dog professionals.
Dog professionals, but then what do we call our clients then? Just family
guardians.
I know guardians is
I went through my website and then took out every word where I was promising training and tried to put it in different terms. Yeah, it's
a bit of a switch for us to think about that we're there to just help and support.
Yeah.
And it's so great to see you excited about the mentoring and just different things you're learning this year, because that's what drives both of us. We love to learn.
Yeah.
We really are. And I think that's not something we share with our clients. We don't go, hey, we're taking 5 courses here and behind the scenes. But we're always looking at advancing our knowledge and getting out there and learning different things from people all over the world.
Right. Questioning what we're doing.
Yeah, and
being
saying,
open-minded.
how does that work? How does that work? And that makes us more creative in our work, which is inspiring and drives us. We want to get out there and help you have a great life with your dog.
Yes. Spread the joy.
All right. So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
If you're listening to this later in the year, then I hope you're having a good year.
You can still make resolutions later in the year. Email us your resolutions. We'd love to hear what you're planning for 2023. Thanks for tuning in today, and hope you'll join us for our next episode. You can reach Emma at
ecdogtraining.com or on Instagram at ecdog_training, and Kirsten at
kwhappydogs.com or on Facebook at kwhappydogs. Don't forget to hit subscribe. See you next time.